Hey gang. So let's like decapitate it or something. Yeah, here we go. So I wanted to talk about Ironjawz. I saw a thing on Twitter which I commented on, but basically kind of talking about how Ironjawz are rough, which I think is fair, right? I have a good friend Lewis, and he and I both really want Ironjawz to work. Ironjawz are like my kind of projects for AOS at the moment are Ironjawz and Corn. They're like the kind of two armies I'm looking at. I was talking about Ironjawz a couple of videos ago with a commenter as well, and I think that there's some stuff in Ironjawz that is really good, but generally, like I think that this is generally true. They're propped up by the fact that they have one very good role, which is Mighty Destroyers. Mighty Destroyers is like old Murder Lust. Very, very powerful. And then also Kragnos, who's one of the strongest models in the game. So I can somewhat understand the argument that like maybe Ironjawz aren't actually good. What's actually good is like Kragnos plus support, but I think that this is kind of a faction that's like worth talking about just a little. This is just gonna be a little short one. But one of the things that I kind of want to say about Ironjawz, I'm just going to pick like a random. Okay, not the Vice, because the Vice is weird. Can I have a normal battle plan? There we go. This'll do. So Jaws of Gal at 6, yeah. Okay, so just some cool stuff that Ironjawz can do that I think is kind of worth talking about, and it's like sort of the strength of the army. So, hello? TTS? There we go. So this guy here, very importantly, can hide in forests, right? Most big scary god models at the moment can't, but Kragnos can. I think he's probably the most powerful thing that can hide in a forest, to be honest. Maybe Scarbrand, but like this guy is a lot more reliable than Scarbrand. Scarbrand is like an RNG machine. So there's some cool things that kind of can happen with Kragnos. So if you've got the big boss guy, this model got buffed. This model's actually quite good now. If we go to here, and let's find Ironjawz, which will be around here somewhere. There we go. 280, I think. Yeah, this guy's 280. If you consider like how much you would pay just kind of like for work models, I think this is one of the kind of cheapest ways to take a hero in Ironjawz, because you're also getting a work model alongside it. Pretend this is the Tusk boss, right? This is just the hack and crew guy, but yeah, the Tusk boss is actually quite good. Anyway, so some cool stuff that you can do in this army is, say for example you deploy Kragnos, and he has to deploy outside the forest, right? Which is, it happens a lot. Like here, he doesn't have obscuring, but you can be like, okay, opponent, you can go first with your disgusting gun line, and I'm gonna Mighty Destroyers Kragnos, 3 inches. And if that still doesn't fit him in, like it doesn't here, you'd be like, okay, and then I'm going to eye for the fight a guaranteed 4. There Kragnos is like here or whatever, fully in the forest. Threatening. Obviously it doesn't threaten his 3d6 counter charge from inside the forest anymore. But this is very, very strong. Some other cool stuff you can do, let's just get an enemy army, just for argument's sake, is say you have something like say this is like a Lumineth castle screening out some stuff or whatever, and you've got like your 10-man unit just screening, and then say like the little 5-man unit of Hurricane also screening, although these models are DOA, like you won't see this now, but just 2 units next to each other happens quite a lot in Age of Sigmar, especially if you're something with a really big base, right? So some cool stuff that you can do here with Kragnos. Have Kragnos go in here and do his charging thing, lift, say this or whatever, and then he's like, okay, power through, and he power throughs, but he only goes 10. He's like, oh no, I don't get back in the forest. Hero phase, Mighty Destroyers. Or if these were even further away and Kragnos is coming from all the way over here, and I mean I'm sure you can see where this is going, but you can be like, okay, here, and then he's going to Mighty Destroyers here, and then he is going to guaranteed redeploy 4 with an eye for the fight. And now he's here. And you might be like, well, yeah, but, now he's really far away from stuff. What happens if they go like this? And it's like, well, Okay, so you don't have to play the Rabble Rouser, I think, with Kragnos. He can legitimately just like go here and roll 3d6 at people and stuff, and that's kind of fine. Because like from here, he is threatening. Like I would say, if you can reliably count on 20 inches, just on the 10-inch move, he is threatening like an enormous amount of the table from here, right? But if you do have the little Rabble Rouser, and oftentimes, by the way, I think bringing this guy out on turn 1 is a mistake. Having him potentially active for Kragnos later, I think, is often stronger. But then you can do things like, oh, here's a Rabble Rouser here or whatever. I'm going to make, or like over here or whatnot. And then suddenly Kragnos like walks up here. And he goes like in, kind of this way or whatever. And something to super do with Kragnos, if you're ever playing him, is measure 17 inches from forests. So that's like here. Because if there's like if you can ever tag 2 units and you be wholly within 17 of a forest, you can do the power through, redeploy, or Mighty Destroyer's Eye for the Fight. Some other really strong stuff you can do. Let's get an army that actually hits stuff in melee with Ironjawz. And I mean, this is just Ironjawz. This isn't. Do I have Gorgontas? No, let's get Gorgontas. This isn't like Kragnos specific. This is just some Ironjawz stuff. So if you've got a unit of 3 Gorgontas, for example, I would say these are the best for it because they're speed 9. Say you're playing against, I don't know, what has a reasonable, okay, here, this is double 20 letters. This will have some blood letters in it. So you're playing in something like this, big blob of stodge, and you've got your other big blob of stodge, like here. Then you can do the kind of classic Ironjawz thing of Craggy goes in here, and the Gorgontas, go like this or whatever. And then Kragnos and his friends flatten this, because, it's Kragnos. And these guys get to pile in 3, which they do. And then in your opponent's turn, you're like, okay, you're within 6, I'm going to make you destroyers here. Cool. Now, this is like old Murder Lust, right? Like this, now your counterattack is very sad unless you have retreat and charge. Especially because, you could have Kragnos be standing here. One of the scariest things on the table that could hit back Kent, and maybe he's only within 6 of his friends who are bodyguards. Or again, if there was another unit here, maybe he is like back in his forest, in his happy place and stuff like that. So he's a very good model, I think, is Kragnos. And I think that this is a very powerful thing that Ironjawz can do. I think a lot of people are really down on Gorgontas at the moment, which I think is fair, but honestly, Speed 9 is just so valuable on a unit that isn't as squishy for the cost as the pigs, like the big pigs. So I figured that that's probably worth talking about, just like all hope isn't lost. I do think, though, that this model is what the faction revolves around now. But Kragnos with access to multiple WAS, Mighty Destroyers, and guaranteed 4-inch redeploy is very powerful, and something I think is worth trying. So I just figured that that's maybe something to share. I don't know how many people know like the kind of tips and tricks and stuff that you can do with new Ironjawz. I will say I think that this regiment is also really, really powerful in Ironjawz. Probably just in general if you're playing Destruction with Kragnos, because you can do things like, turn 1, Kragnos can yeet up the table. You can summon these from Deep Strike 9 inches away from your opponent and just 3d6 charge at people. Doing that with like Gobblepalooza with a 4-up ward to tie up their favorite things and stuff as well is really obnoxious. So in general, I think the Rabble Rouser regiment is really, really good. Also gets you a wizard without costing a character slot, which is really nice in Destruction. Like I think you can legitimately, if you wanted, play Kragnos as a 2-drop. But going to 3 and including this is pretty powerful too. I wouldn't probably play him without the 4-inch redeploy. I think that that's really, really strong just to have access to. So yeah, I definitely think that Ironjawz aren't like competitive the way that Skaven, Tzeentch, OBR and stuff are, but they've got some moves, and I like that if you play an army like this, your stuff kinda just works. You don't have, there's no like, oh, on a 4-up I get to bring back my 700 point model like Alariel has to deal with, or kind of other similar effects that happen on shaky dice rolls that I hate. So one of the reasons I like Khorne a lot as well is, other than the Slaughter Priest, your stuff kind of just works, which is really nice. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to make a quick thing talking about Ironjawz. Not all hope is lost, I guess. Hopefully that was somewhat helpful. And I'll see you guys soon.